On an ordinary summer's afternoon in 1986, a young woman named Suzy Lamplugh set off to meet a potential client. This is what we know happened next, but it's what we don't know that makes this case one of the most enduring mysteries in British history. It was July in Fulham, West London, a busy neighborhood filled with shops, restaurants, and bustling streets. It was the kind of place where one might expect a young woman to feel perfectly safe. And yet, just weeks before, a local newspaper had warned readers about a lone wolf predator operating in the area, targeting women alone in the street. The police, however, dismissed these fears as unfounded. And so when Suzy Lamplugh, a 25-year-old estate agent, stepped out of her office on the afternoon of 28th July, she felt no sense of foreboding as she made her way to Shorrold's Road to meet a potential client. She had first noted the appointment in her diary, simply writing Mr. Kipper next to the time and address, but who Mr. Kipper was or why he wanted to see her remained a mystery. In fact, the name wasn't even his. He was known to the police as John Cannan, a convicted killer and rapist who had been released from a hostel just days before in the same area. Now, like many others, he had been looking for somewhere to live and had placed an advertisement in the local newspaper offering his services as a handyman in exchange for accommodation. The advert had caught the eye of Suzanne's boss, who had passed it on to her as a potential lead. And so it was that at around 2:30 p.m., the two met outside number 29 Sherritops Road. But within minutes, Suzanne had disappeared. Her white Ford Fiesta was later discovered abandoned nearby with the driver's door unlocked and her purse still inside. But there was no sign of her. Had she slipped and fallen? Perhaps she'd taken a wrong turn and got lost. At first, the police seemed to think that might be the case. They even held a press conference suggesting she may have left the area voluntarily. However, her family knew this wasn't true. And thankfully, after a week of searching, they were proven right. A team of over 500 officers was assembled to hunt for clues. Thousands of potential witnesses were interviewed and hundreds of lines of inquiry pursued, all while the nation waited anxiously for news. While some believed Suzanne had simply run away, most feared the worst, convinced that she had been abducted and murdered. Divers scoured London's rivers, cadaver dogs sniffed through parks and woodlands, and even psychics were called in to help the search. But despite the best efforts of the police and volunteers, no trace of Suzanne was ever found. And as the months turned into years, the case grew colder and more perplexing. In 1994, 8 years after her disappearance, Suzanne was officially declared dead, presumed murdered, though her body was never recovered and no one was ever charged with her murder. Her distraught parents, however, refused to give up hope. With the help of their friends and other concerned citizens, they established the Suzy Lamplugh Trust, a charity dedicated to promoting personal safety and raising awareness about stalking and violence. For years, one prime suspect loomed large: John Cannan. The convicted killer and rapist had been living in a hostel in the area at the time of Suzanne's disappearance and was known to frequent local pubs. However, despite being the prime suspect in the eyes of investigators, no charges have ever been brought due to insufficient evidence. Following his release from prison, Cannan moved from hostel to hostel, always on the move and always careful to keep out of the public eye. When asked about the case, he always denied involvement, claiming to have been at home at the time of the murder. And given the lack of concrete evidence linking him to the crime, the police were unable to disprove his alibi. The case of Suzanne Lamplugh remains one of the most haunting and enduring mysteries in British history. It captivated the nation and left an indelible mark on the community of Fulham. In the absence of answers, the people of London created their own narrative, one that cast a shadow of suspicion over every stranger and echoed in the quiet streets of the city. The disappearance of Suzy Lamplugh serves as a sobering reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of unanswered questions.